If you are a single INFJ, do you look for another INFJ as your partner? Is dating someone like you the best match for you? Personally, I don't recommend using MBTI to pick a partner, but I will use MBTI to understand my partner. You get what I mean? You use MBTI after you have a partner or when you are dating someone to get to know them better, but not before you have a partner, like using MBTI to decide who you want to be with. Because MBTI is not everything, even though two people can have the same personality types, they can be vastly different depending on how healthy they are, what they have experienced, etc. They may have different hobbies and interests. Like as an INFJ, I love to sing, but I met other INFJ and I know that not all of them love to sing. But having said that, there are definitely some MBTI types that are more compatible to an INFJ, and INFJ is one of them. So I thought it would be fun to do a video on INFJ and INFJ and what their relationship might be like, what makes them compatible, and also the potential challenges they may face along the way. So let's start with the good things. So INFJ often face this problem. We often feel misunderstood by other people. We often feel that we're different from other people. So if you want to date someone who completely gets you, unlike any other MBTI type, then INFJ will be someone for you. Because only INFJ that will get you completely, like intellectually and emotionally. They will make you feel understood and validated and heard. There will be this kind of emotional connection and intellectual connection with them that you don't get from other MBTI types. And the only other MBTI type that could match this connection probably would be with an INTJ, because both of us share the same first function, the dominant function, which is introverted intuition. But oftentimes with an INTJ, you don't get the deep emotional connection that you crave as an INFJ. I know that this is very important to an INFJ, especially if you are a type 4 INFJ and your core wound is feeling misunderstood by other people. Like throughout your life, you feel like your identity has been rejected by others. It feels great to be acknowledged and affirmed and accepted by someone else, especially that someone gets you totally, like they know what you need before you even need to say anything, which is kind of nice, but it's also kind of weird. The initial meetup with another INFJ can be somewhat awkward. INFJ usually read other people. We like to observe, we like to check people out. And when you meet another INFJ, you are reading them and they are reading you. So it's kind of a weird feeling. And INFJ and INFJ tends to be very polite with each other, and sometimes to a point of being over polite. So when an INFJ meet up with another INFJ, it could be a very weird initial encounter. But when you get acquainted with each other and you start talking about topics that are close to the heart, like you talk about psychology, you talk about how to help the humanity, then we will get into this deep and long conversation and we will understand what each other has to say. Like we just get each other. So conversation with other personality types will never reach the depth that two INFJ may have. It's never ending. It goes on and on and on. We can have this non-stop discussion that goes on and on for hours. It never ends. And also partially is because both of us have FE, extroverted feelings, as our auxiliary function. So we tend to accommodate the group. If someone has something to share, as an INFJ, I don't want to interrupt you. And because both of us are waiting for each other to end the conversation never ends. So in terms of compatibility, I'll say INFJ match each other in terms of the intellectual level and also the emotional level. It's very difficult to get this kind of connection from other MBTI types. But it also depends on what you want out of relationships. Do you want to have such deep conversation all the time? Like, do you want such serious conversation all the time? Nowadays, I kind of enjoy having this nonsensical conversation with my INFP brother. Like, I like to have more laughter and fun and just talk about random and irrelevant stuff. I don't need to have every conversation to be so deep. It also depends on what stage of the journey you are in. Maybe like 10 years or 20 years ago, when I had low self-esteem, it would be nice to have an INFJ as a friend or a partner because they will validate you, they will encourage you, they will help you to become better. But because it has been such a long time and I no longer seek validation from others, I learned how to provide myself with validation and affirmation. So an INFJ doesn't seem so appealing to me as much as before. I'm more looking for a spiritual connection. And what I find that even though INFJ get me on a psychological and also a cognitive, mental, and emotional level, they don't always get me on a spiritual level. We may have the same spiritual knowledge, but we may not have this deep spiritual connection. Interestingly enough, I feel more connected spiritually with other types than I have with the INFJ I have interacted with. Even though the cognitive function are different with other types, there are more resonance in terms of spiritual connection. So it really depends on what you want out of the relationship. Do you just want somebody to have a deep conversation with and someone who understand you deeply, like what you're thinking, or like able to like empathize with you? Then an INFJ would be very suitable for you. But if you have other desire, you want more fun and more adventure, an INFJ may not be the best fit for you. Now let's talk about the downside of an INFJ and INFJ relationship. The downside of having someone who gets you is that they may not have any growth to these relationships. And this applies to all types like ENTP with ENTP, INTJ with INTJ. And it's also not just about personality types. It's about all groups and community. Whether it's based on religion, sexual orientation, gender, or you are in a group because you all have the same kind of yearners. When you are in the group or a community setting, you start to have this collective belief or identity. It is a good bonding process to find someone just like you to find someone who experienced the same thing as you. But you kind of affirm each other, both the good and the bad. Even though some views and opinions may not be beneficial to you for the long run, because someone else with the same personality types share the same kind of thinking and same kind of view, they may affirm you and cause you to perpetuate your bad habits. So you all may have the same kind of blind spot, and two INFJ together may intensify the overthinking. Both of you will like think too much together, and in a relationship with each other, you may overthink about each other's action. So for the INFJ relationships, you also intensify the NI connection, the introverted intuition, and you may neglect other aspects of your life like the SE, the extroverted sensing function. Right? So both of you are so in your mind, right? Who is going to do the laundry? Who is going to pay the bills? Who is going to prepare the meals? Like both INFJs don't like to do the mundane stuff. If one INFJ does more than the others, the other will feel resentful eventually. If you were to be in a relationship with another INFJ, you have to assign the household tasks equally so that there is a balance and you don't feel like you're doing all the work. Even though INFJs have great conversation with another INFJ, you can't just keep talking and have no action. Like, it's good to have conversation, but nothing gets done. You want things to get done because ultimately INFJs have such great vision and great ideas about the future, but they also will not feel satisfied if their vision doesn't get executed. And when you have two FE driven types, you're looking for each other to lead the relationship. Like, you are very accommodating and agreeable, but your partner is also very accommodating and agreeable. But somebody has to make the decision. If your partner is more agreeable than you, even if you don't like to make decision, you have to be the one to step up. Otherwise, the relationship will be going nowhere. Also, with both of us having the NIFE function as the top function, we kind of know what each other needs in the relationship. But then you always have to depend on other people, your partner, to know what you want. You don't get to explore your own needs and desire on your own. With other types, INFJ gets to explore other cognitive function, which they don't when they are with another INFJ. Like, for example, if you are with any type, extroverted, intuitive type, you get to explore different ideas and topics and expand your possibilities. And with a SE type, extroverted sensing type, you get to go on adventure and be more present, which is very useful for INFJ who always like in the head in the cloud and imaginative and thinking about the future. And with a TE type, extroverted thinking type, you get to learn how to bring your vision to reality. I'm not saying you should pick your partner based on personal growth or what you can learn from them, but I do find that other types do bring more growth to your world, and it has opened up your world much wider, and I kind of appreciate that. The main danger here is that you may enable your partner to have bad habits. INFJs sometimes are too agreeable, too accommodating, and we may have some people-pleasing tendency. We tend to be very conflict avoidant, and we may not truly express what we feel. Even though with an INFJ partner, you can talk deeply about a lot of things, but most of the things you're talking about are humanities, about the dreams in the future, about helping other people. When it comes to sharing insight about each other, there can be some kind of conflict. The first conflict is inner conflict. Your FE and your NI have this tension. Like, you want to share your insight with your INFJ partner. You want to help them grow. You want to point out things that they could improve on. But you also are afraid that your INFJ partner will feel hurt by what you share. There is this dilemma between your NI driven insight, your introverted intuitive. You're itching to say something to your partner, but your FE extroverted feeling is all about harmony. It's all about paying attention to the other person's emotion and desire, and you don't want to hurt someone. And as an INFJ who is highly sensitive to criticism, you may have this struggle. Do I tell them or do I not tell them? Do I tell this to my partner or do I not tell them? It's actually easier when you're dealing with a thinking type. You are able to share your insight more openly because they are less reactive to what you say. At most, they will just say that you're wrong. They don't agree with you. The second conflict is the external conflict you have with the other INFJ. When you have two INFJ in a relationship, it means that you have two advisors. You have two people who are very good at giving other people advice, but they may not always be willing to listen to other people's advice. So conflict may happen, especially if you have clashing align views. Your insight and your partner's insight may not be the same. Even though we have the same cognitive function, doesn't mean that we will come to the same conclusion. It really depends on what you have experienced in your life and what kind of conclusion you draw out of your experience. You and your INFJ partner may have total different views on things, and the INFJ partner may get hurt and feel defensive and then withdraw themselves. And because both of you are conflict avoidant, you don't talk about it, and then this will just end the relationship slowly. There is good side to INFJ and INFJ relationship, but there is also some potential challenges. Ultimately, whether a relationship with another INFJ will work for you will have to depend on what you're looking for in a romantic relationship. Are you looking for emotional bonding solely? Or are there other things that are important to you? This will help you to determine if someone is a good match to you or not. If you choose to have a relationship with another INFJ, it's important that you take care of your blind spot when it comes to like your TI and your SE, your introverted thinking and your extroverted sensing. But you also want to pay a little attention to your shadow function because it can add some spice and variety to your relationship. Watch this next video to find out more.